My name is Hannah, and this is my no-buy year. I have to tell you guys something. Like 2 months ago, at least 2 months ago, I started getting excited about getting a little Christmas tree and putting it in the background of my videos for the month of December. I was like, I'm gonna go to Whole Foods, I'm gonna get one of those little tiny trees that they have. They're like $30, and I'm gonna decorate it. I'm gonna put it in the background and it's gonna be so cute. Like since before Halloween, it's an idea that I got and I was just thinking about it and planning it and getting excited about it. And then the end of November rolled around, the post-Thanksgiving time rolled around, and I realized that in order to get a little Christmas tree, I would have to buy a little Christmas tree, and this is my no-buy year. So I can't. And before anyone gets all up in arms and is like, but it's a Christmas tree, of course you can buy a Christmas tree. Christmas tree should be an exception. It's not one of my exceptions. I didn't think about it at the beginning of the year. And in fact, plants are explicitly included in my no-buy year because I was a compulsive buyer of houseplants, among other things. If I had thought of it last year, I probably would have written it into my rules. I probably would have said that I was allowed to buy a Christmas tree because it is kind of a special occasion thing. It's not exactly the same as a houseplant. And I don't think that it is a cheat to buy it, but I am very, very faithful to my rules. And because I didn't think of it and because I didn't write it into my rules, I'm not going to change my rules now in December. I just have to do the no-buy that I planned for myself. And the no-buy that I planned for myself says that I'm not allowed to buy anything unless it's a health and safety issue or a replacement. And the Christmas tree is neither of those things. It's interesting because I was sad when I realized that I couldn't buy one, not only a little one for here, but a slightly bigger one for our front window, which is what I have done for the past couple of years. We don't have the space for a full-sized Christmas tree, but I usually get kind of not the tiniest one, but maybe the next smallest size and put it up in the window and decorate it and enjoy having it during December. And I can't do that. Joe is not really into holidays and he always groans when I bring home the Christmas tree every year. So he's definitely not going to go out and get one of his own accord, even though he knows that I wish we could have one. I can't depend on him to surprise me with a Christmas tree. It's just not really in his nature. So we're not going to have a Christmas tree this year because it's my no-buy year and I'm always the one who buys it. And it's just given me more to think about, as everything that I'm not allowed to buy has. I've been thinking about why I feel like I need to get a Christmas tree, what it really means, what the holidays do for me, what the holidays are versus the celebration of the holidays that I always enact. The same kind of goes for gift giving. You know, it's just interesting. I think our holiday can still be very festive and still be very exciting even without that tree. I am going to decorate with lights. This is one of the strings of lights that we already owned, that we had in storage, and I have several more strings of lights. So I'll put them up in the front room, I'll put them in the front window. I will try to maybe hang our ornaments on some house plants, but that brings me to the reason why I was even telling you about this, which is that I brought one of our plants. This is Charles Prickly III here. So this is Charles Prickly III of the Santa Fe Pricklies. We got him last year after we moved to LA, and I decorated him with some of our ornaments, and I also put our little star on top. I made that little star out of sequins a couple of years ago when we lived in Michigan for one of our trees there, and that's the little star that we always have on the top of our little tree. So Charles Prickly is all decked out. He's my little Christmas cactus this year since I can't buy a Christmas tree, and I decided to bring him in here and put him in the background of my videos for the month of December. I think he's actually really super cute, and I also like what he represents here on my channel. Necessity is the mother of invention, and a no-buy is the mother of using what you have. So I am using the little tree that I have, little Charles Prickly, holding down the fort for the last month of 2018. All right, it's time for my November check-in. As you all know, this is my no-buy year, and at the end of every month I film a check-in reflecting on how the no-buy went for me during the preceding month. And a lot of you have been inquiring about next year. I am going to continue to film monthly check-ins next year. I think that that will be a staple on my channel for as long as it exists. November was somewhat of a whirlwind for me. It's actually kind of hard to talk about it because it went by so fast. I was sick, fully sick, twice. And when I say fully sick, I mean like a 5-day to a week period of starting to feel sick, getting really sick, and then recovering from being sick. I had to work through, or actually I had to work through one sickness and I had to play through the other sickness. So the first sickness hit me right when we got up to San Francisco. We were vending at a tango marathon there, and there was just no way that I could in any way minimize the amount of work that I do at an event like that. I just had to power through. I had to show up. I had to be there all day and all night, every day, selling the clothes, hanging out with my friends, meeting the people. I even did some dancing. I was really hopped up on NyQuil and DayQuil and some weird illegal medicine that I brought back from Argentina. It's not illegal in Argentina, and it's not illegal to bring it back from Argentina. It's just something that you can't buy over the counter in the United States that I bought over the counter when I was studying tango in Argentina a couple of years ago. I just had one packet left and it was the only thing that got me through. So made it through that, and then I got better for like a week, maybe a little more than a week, and then I got sick again right when my sister got here for Thanksgiving, which was really last weekend. That's right, last weekend. So the end of last week and last weekend, and the party did not stop. I did the same thing. I took a bunch of DayQuil during the day. We made an amazing Thanksgiving dinner, just the three of us, Ellie, Joe, and me. And we had a bunch of amazing wine, a bunch of amazing food. Then Ellie and I went to Disneyland. We did like a marathon Disney trip. This was our second time at Disneyland. We vlogged the first time, and the vlog is up here on my channel. I will link that in the cards. We didn't vlog this time. We wanted to just live in the moment, and so we did it. But honestly, we destroyed ourselves on the altar of Disneyland. Like, Ellie's phone recorded that we walked almost 10 miles over the course of the day because we were just walking back and forth between parks. We rode like 18 rides. We also ducked out of the park for lunch and had a bunch of champagne. I mean, we had an amazing time, and I wouldn't have traded it for the world, and I'm not sorry that I didn't stay home and stay in bed even though I was feeling kind of sick, because it was so worth it to spend that time with my sister. I love her so much, and we had such a good time. So it was good, but by the end of it, by the time she left, I was just like a shell of my former self. I played too hard during my second illness. So that's what this month was for me. It was like working, being sick, working through being sick, working, playing, being sick, celebrating even though I was sick, and having a good time with my sister, which is like the freshest thing on my mind because she just left. So I've barely had time to think about anything. I'm barely recovered, really. This is like the first semi-normal day, and I still feel a little shaky, but I've got to keep going. I have a lot to do this month, and honestly, I really am starting to feel like I'm barreling towards the end of the year. I'm barreling towards the end of my no-buy, and I have a bunch of videos planned for December that are all wrap-up videos. So reflection videos about my no-buy, some videos about how the numbers kind of shook down during my no-buy year, that kind of thing. So I'm planning a bunch of wrap-up videos for December, and I'm also going to be visiting my family in North Carolina for the holidays. So I have to do a lot of pre-filming, and it just feels like it's suddenly all happening. Which is all just to say I have had no time to think about shopping. And I really feel like the no-buy has become effortless at this point. It's become my lifestyle. It has become me. I have become a walking no-buy, and I'm not trying anymore. I just don't want to shop a lot, and I really don't want to buy anything. In fact, Joe, he's been using this little sample size of a Bumble and Bumble hair texturizer that I gave to him, and he's almost out, and he asked me if I would order him a new one, a full size, and then he'll send me the money. They have it at Sephora. I thought I might as well order it for him from Sephora because they have Rouge, so we'll get free shipping, flash shipping. And I've been like putting off ordering it, even though it's just one thing in the package, and it's not even for me, and I'm not even buying it. I'm just doing Joe a favor by ordering it for him. I don't want to place an order from Sephora. I feel wary. I feel resistant to engaging in that old addictive behavior. And it doesn't mean that I'm not going to do it. I am going to do it. It's just I think that the old me would have been like, ooh, I get to place an order from Sephora, and I would have rushed and done it right away. And when I say the old me, I mean me from some months ago. During my no-buy year, I would have been thrilled that I had a reason to place an order from Sephora, and I would have tried to get that same old feeling. But I don't feel like that anymore. I feel wary and resistant to that behavior. And I like that. I want to carry that with me through to next year. That is the change that I was hoping for. That is the person that I was hoping to be at the end of my no-buy year. And I will place orders from Sephora in the future, but I want to continue to have this feeling about them. I want them to be things that I have to prepare for, gird my loins for, feel very sure about, and I want it to feel like a big deal and something that maybe is a little bit dangerous, something that I have to be really, really clear about, rather than like a big piece of cake that I'm about to eat, which is how it used to feel. I am starting to think about what I want to ask for Christmas, for gifts, and what I want to buy next year. So there are these two events coming up for me, these two events of acquisition. So one is the gift giving holiday, and the other is the fact that my no-buy is about to end and I'm about to be allowed to make purchases again. So you would think that I would be, and I guess in some ways I have been spending some time thinking about buying things. So I have been engaging in some of those shopping behaviors, like researching what things I might want to put on my wish list, thinking about what actually might be on my wish list for next year, which is another video that I'm hoping to film for you in December. But I don't feel like I'm constantly obsessively worrying over those questions like I used to, and I'm not spending every spare moment clicking through websites and comparing things like I used to. Thinking about what I might like to have, thinking about what I might be willing to bring into my life, to add to my closet or to my makeup vanity or to my home, has become a casual activity that I engage in a little bit, that has ramped up a little bit naturally during this time of year because we are approaching the holiday season, rather than being my main hobby, like my main gig, the thing that I'm constantly returning to, the thing that I'm constantly obsessing over and thinking about, which is honestly and humiliatingly how it used to be. I am very sharply aware, as I start thinking about these things, of two things. One is of how my desires fade over time. One of the main things that my no-buy year has taught me is how I can really, really want a thing and just feel desperately like I want someone to give it to me, or like I want to be allowed to buy it. And then a couple of weeks later or months later, depending on the thing, I don't want the thing anymore. Or I'm starting to think maybe I would enjoy it, but I just want it much, much less. The kind of frantic desire that always used to cause me to buy something or to really determinedly ask for it as a gift from my family for Christmas or for my birthday, that always goes away. It has gone away in every case over the course of the year. There's pretty much nothing that I wanted during the course of the year that I still want with that same intensity. And almost everything that I've wanted over the course of the year, I genuinely don't want anymore. And it's hard for me to understand why I ever wanted it that badly. So that's having a huge effect on my behavior as I start thinking about asking for gifts for Christmas. It's just making me less confident that the things that I want right now are things that I'm actually gonna keep loving. And so it makes me less likely to put something on my wish list. It's just making me really, really careful about what I wish for. The other thing that I am sharply aware of right now is of how I do not want my collection of stuff in my home to grow. I just don't want very much more stuff. And I already feel like I have a little bit too much stuff. I still need to finish my declutter series, which is kind of getting pushed to next year, I think, looking at my calendar. I still need to finish decluttering my closet. That's another thing I'm hoping to do next year, early next year. Decluttering my kitchen, decluttering my books, these things I said that I was going to do on here. I am making my way slowly through decluttering all those things. It's taking a long time, but I haven't done it yet. So I feel like still I want fewer things rather than more things. And so that also gives me pause as it comes to the time of year when I'm thinking about what I might want to receive and what I might want to buy. I think of the thing and I want the thing, but then I think of adding the thing in among all of my other things, and I do not want to do that. Speaking of not wanting my collection to grow bigger, it was really interesting to film Hannah's Reckoning, my video about decluttering new makeup and skincare. I was essentially decluttering the box of things that I've received as gifts, putting some of them in a box of things to give away, and then putting some of them away in my own collection. I kept a lot of stuff. I feel like a little bit like I kept too much, and I was able to put it all away. I was able to find a place for everything, and everything is in its place. But I feel like my collection is just swollen ever so slightly, and I don't feel overwhelmed by stuff like I used to, but I just feel like I have a little bit uncomfortably too much. And I need to, again, like continue my declutter series and pare everything down and really focus on only using what I truly, truly love. I actually did end up passing along something that I said in that video that I would be keeping, which was the blush, the Hourglass blush. I did really, really love that product. It was in the color Radiant Magenta, and it showed up actually as quite a cool toned and slightly bronzy blush. A main reason that I wanted to keep it was just how beautiful the powder was. The finish was so incredibly beautiful, and it did work for me, but like some of the other blushes I talked about in that video, the cool undertone of it isn't my exact blush aesthetic. But Ellie, my sister, has more cool toned skin than I do. She's pretty pale, though not quite as pale as I, and she is not quite as yellow, not quite as golden in undertone as I. She's pinker. So I was helping her when she was here to figure out how to put on some professional makeup. She is a lawyer and she has never been into makeup. She really doesn't enjoy it, but she was starting to feel like she would like to at least have the capacity to put on kind of a super subtle eye look and to brighten up her face just a little bit every once in a while when she has an important meeting. So when she was here, we sat down and I talked her through just how to kind of put some taupe in your crease. She also has hooded eyes, so I talked a little about how to make your hooded eyes look bigger than they are, and I gave her some things. And when I put that Hourglass blush on her, or I gave it to her, I was like, you should try this on. It looked so good on her, and I was like, oh, that's how that's supposed to look. The way that it looks on me isn't quite how it's supposed to look. And I love Ellie more than I love the blush, and I really wanted her to have it. And I know she wouldn't have gone and bought it for herself, so I just gave it to her, and I feel really happy about that. Anyway, I've been meditating on the challenge of running a channel, receiving gifts, receiving PR, and still maintaining a very edited collection going forward. It's a challenge. It's going to be an unanticipated challenge. Here's what I've been thinking about. Being on YouTube, as it turns out, will change the flow of stuff through my life. It already is because of the gifts that I've received from viewers. But especially if I start to receive PR, even if I receive it judiciously, next year there will be a flow of things through my life, makeup, skincare, possibly homewares, other things, that are flowing through my life because I am on YouTube. So I'm up here talking about how to live a life in which we only keep what we love, and I'm talking about myself wanting to maintain a life in which I only own things that I truly love. But for almost all of you, my context, my flow of stuff is radically different from your flow of stuff, and it's only going to continue to get more and more different because I'm up here on YouTube and you're not. So for many of you, your flow of stuff is consisting of things that you buy and the occasional thing that someone might give you as a gift. But for me, my flow of stuff is suddenly going to consist of a bunch of stuff that I didn't buy. So whether or not I choose to buy things is not going to be the only determining factor in the size of that flow of stuff. And I'm okay with that in moderation. I've been thinking a lot about it. I'm kind of talking to you about it halfway through my thought process. I haven't made all of my decisions yet, but I do know that I'm okay with it in moderation for a variety of reasons that I will explicate more on in a future video, but I do not want the flood of stuff through my life to become massive. I just don't want that. Some of you have asked me if I've seen Samantha Ravindall's recent video about deciding to stop getting PR. I have seen it, and her description of the piles and piles of PR packages, her description of the flood of stuff through her life, that sounds like a nightmare to me. I don't even want to experience a tenth of that. I might be okay with 2% of that. So I need to start thinking about how I'm going to engineer everything in such a way that I will keep it under 2%. And it's not an emergency. Like, I'm still a very, very tiny channel, and it's not like my inbox is flooded with PR offers from giant companies. Like, no, it's not, nowhere near that. And it will probably be a long time before that happens, if it ever happens, given the nature of my channel. But I'm starting to think about it, because when I sat down to film Hannah's Reckoning, I was pretty amazed at the volume of stuff that had accumulated just over a couple of months of receiving just a couple of packages. So I have to figure out a way to set myself up to receive some gifts and some PR, but in a way that doesn't suddenly open the floodgates for a huge stream of stuff through my life, and in a way that doesn't cause me to lose touch with what my relationship with stuff was like before I became a micro influencer. So just like I did with the no buy, I'm going to make very clear rules about that, and I'm going to film a whole video pretty much about it. That will probably go up like during the first week of 2019. I'll make sure that you guys know what all my rules are and know what I've decided to do, just so we can all be on the same page going forward. I also wanted to check in with you about my commitment to not eating sugary treats this past month. If you saw my October check-in, then you know that I felt like my use of treats, sweet treats, to reward myself got kind of out of control in the month of October. And so I committed to not eating any sweet treats of any kind, whether they had real sugar in them or not, for the month of November. And I stuck to it. I did not eat a single sweet treat. I did not treat myself with anything sweet ever at all during this month. I didn't have any dessert at Thanksgiving, no pie, no chocolate. Nothing that can be called a sweet treat has passed my lips since the beginning of the month. However, I lost my willpower in regards to all the other things that I don't usually eat. I'm a pretty low carb eater. I'm not keto all the time, but I try to eat pretty low carb, high fat. It makes me feel so much better. And I just completely lost my marbles with regards to that this month. And there are a bunch of other things that I don't usually eat, or that I don't usually consume in excess, because I know that they reduce my ability to feel my best and to function my best. So potatoes, that's a high carb. I even ate some rice, and I don't usually eat grains. Even if I'm eating carbs, I don't usually eat a lot of grains. I drank a lot of alcohol. Not a lot. I mean, I didn't drink a lot of alcohol this month, but usually I only drink when I'm out or when it's a social event. And there were a number of nights this month where I like had a glass of wine while I was cooking dinner, which is something I haven't done honestly for years. I haven't done it regularly for years, but this month I kind of got a little bit back into the habit. Coffee is another thing that I almost never drink because it makes me smell weird, it makes me sweat, it makes me crash. And I've been drinking coffee like a fiend for the past couple of weeks. Partly some of this is because I've been sick and I've just felt like I needed, I mean, I wasn't drinking while I was sick the first time, but I have felt like I needed these crutches to like get me through the month, because it's been such a madhouse and I've had so much to do. But I just know that a large part of it is a reduction in willpower with regards to these other things, because I'm using so much of my willpower to keep myself from indulging in sweet treats. So it's just made me think a lot about transference of addiction and how hard the brain will work to make sure that we continue to indulge in something, to treat ourselves with something, break the rules in some way or another, no matter how firmly we decide that we're going to be healthy in a certain way. The brain, my brain, the baby in my brain is such a jerk. And that really, really came out this month. And this is why my no buy included all those categories. That's why I did makeup, skincare, clothing, and homewares, because I just know that if it had just been makeup, skincare, and clothing, I would have bought 100 houseplants this year. I had to include everything. I had to close all the doors and cut myself off at the pass in every single way, or else my addiction to shopping would have just transferred into another category. So it was a real reminder of how serious that is, how real that is. And what I'm going to do now is I'm continuing my ban on treating myself with sweet treats during the month of December. So I'm going all the way through, I'm coasting all the way through to the end of the year, and I'm going to slowly work on putting my healthy behaviors back in place this month with regards to alcohol, coffee, carbs, etc. And that, I think, is it. I can't think of anything else to say. Again, this month was incredibly packed and strange and went by very, very fast. And so I think that that's it. I did want to mention, though, that I have been loving you guys so much this month. I mean, I always do. You always mean a lot to me. You are amazing. But everyone who sent me notes recently just telling me how much my channel means to you, and people who have sent me gifts and contacted me on Instagram, and all of you who are new who have come over from LS's channel and Angelica's channel. I just love it. I love you guys. It's just amazing. And it's been really exciting to see the no buy bug starting to catch on a little bit on YouTube. People are talking more about it. And even channels who aren't going on no buys or low buys, and content creators who aren't starting no buys or low buys, because I do believe that it's not useful for everyone. I think there are a lot of people out there who genuinely don't need a low buy or a no buy. And I totally respect people who are like, everyone's been telling me to do a low buy, but I don't want to. I get that. But even many of those content creators who I watch have been talking about consumerism in a more conscientious way. And that just thrills me to my very bones. And hearing you guys talk about it in the comments and seeing your comments on other videos that are about just being a little bit more careful and being smarter about how we engage in these frenetic behaviors, especially during this time of year. I just thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for listening and commenting. And even those of you who don't comment but who watch, I just appreciate you more than you can know, honestly. And thank you for being patient with me as I navigate this very weird experience of becoming a content creator on YouTube. I am doing some trial and error at this point in terms of how my channel will evolve and how my projects will evolve, but I'm very excited for my 2019 project, and that will be announced on January 1st. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you will remember to take extra good care of yourself this week so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.